Today we're finally leaving Panama and heading off to the Galapagos Islands.
And heading right out of the traffic of Panama, we hit very glassy water. There was very little wind, so we knew that was going to happen, but it looked like somebody came out and ironed the ocean. It was very beautiful and also a little bit eerie. Life turned into a bit of a zoo on the way down to the Galapagos Islands. Any dead marine life that got washed up on our boat by the waves, we told the girls we were going to dissect. Here's our squid. You should see the girls' faces. The only kid that was really tough and didn't make really bad faces was Nicole. Even though in the shot she kind of looks it, she really was tough. Towards the end of the squid lesson, I went up to the front of the boat to check a cushion that was drying that I had cleaned, and I'm so glad I did. Check out our visitors. Something was stuck to our prop, so Chris had to go under and investigate. This is what we found.
What is in our giant ball of stuff that was wrapped around our prop? This was all twisted and wrapped up gnarly around the prop, and I had to cut it away with a knife.
It looks like hula's, like a skirt. Somebody's flip-flop shoe.
The first thing I noticed about all this is every part of it is plastic. This is plastic line used for fishing nets.
So this is why we don't throw plastic into the ocean.
Say that loud.
This is why we don't put plastic in the ocean. Sponsored by me.
A couple of days later, a dead flying fish washed back up on our boat, and so it was time for another science lesson. Again, my girls' faces were priceless. Nicole was tough, the rest, not so much. Several days before we reached the equator and crossed it, we had a bird or two that landed on our boat. We soon discovered this was the red-footed booby bird. You heard me right. The red-footed booby bird. This was the bird that Charles Darwin met over on Ecuador. And then when he went over to the Galapagos Islands, he met the blue-footed booby bird. And soon his theory of evolution began to develop. At first we only had one or two of these birds that landed on our boat. No big deal. We had to chase them off once or twice a day and clean off their you-know-what. So it was no big deal. Except when one lands, another one. And then another one. And then another one. And our boat turns into a zoo. And you know what that means. It gives a whole new meaning to poop deck.
So, could I get an expert's opinion? How is it like to fly? Yeah. Anyone? Is flying fun? Let's get closer to this. Excuse me, sir. Is flying fun for you? Yep, right here.
Look into the lens, please.
Right here.
Oh, but that's so
About a day before we crossed the equator, at 6:30 in the morning when Chris was on watch, the birds flew away. We could finally clean our boat once and for all.
So we crossed the equator, and we need to have a ceremony. His Majesty King Neptune is very displeased.
King Neptune, King Triton.
Yeah, him too. All the kings of the ocean. For crimes related to swimming without permission, catching and eating his critters, sometimes going to the bathroom in the ocean, throwing garbage in the ocean, drinking it without his permission, and various and other assorted crimes, all of which you are accused. Having now passed the equator, you have a chance to redeem yourself by making a tribute to His Highness. All right, 50 cents. That's all he gets.
Ready?
Throw it in. Hopefully it's enough.
From my college fund. 1, 2, 3.
Heads or tails?
Tails.
That's heads.
Hey.
That's hard to do.
1, 2, 3.
Go, come on, hurry.
Hot dog flinging.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, let's see. We're in the ocean.
Thunder. What would you have?
What?
Yes, more. What? I win.
Ah, no. Mine were in front. No. I won. No, I definitely won. No, because yours were floating away. No. I watched them when they went.
All right.
Friendly, it's still part of your nose. It was really fun. Okay. Hot dog. Our tribute to...
Do we pass?
Okay, so now each of you down on your knees. No more hot dogs.
Sorry, this is just
Stop with the hot dogs. Okay, all right. Beg King Triton for forgiveness.
Please.
Forgive.
Please, come on.
Look at us. Please.
That was rousing. Okay.
Look at this poor face. Okay.
All right. And as your final act of penitence, you must swim around the boat with a scraper and a scrubby and scrub the hull.
Woohoo!
And then you will be shellback sailor.
Yay! Let's do it!
Big, like the clouds that were covering us and the big waves that were rocking our boat, so all the things were toppling onto the floor and it was really hard to move around because we kept banging around on the sides. And yeah, it was just really hard to get to places around the boat. So yeah. I was sick the whole time and I threw up twice.
Being bored and running out of things to do. Got boring. Night watches.
Saying squids on a boat and flying fishes landing on a boat.
We had very little wind on our way from Panama to the Galapagos Islands, and we had to use up almost all our fuel to get there, and that is what my least favorite thing. We were worried that we were even going to make it there, so that was my least favorite thing.
So leaving Panama, we went through these patches of garbage, floating bags and plastic things and bottles. It was really kind of heartbreaking to see all this trash. And in fact, we got a bunch of it wrapped around our prop coming down out of Panama. So it was a little disheartening to see that.
Is the dolphins that were up in front of the boat,
The turtles in the water. Dolphins and the swordfish.
the shark. Dolphins.
And my favorite animal that we saw was, we had about 6 of these beautiful white gulls that only came at night. They had this beautiful they talked to each other with this chirping, clicking noise. It was beautiful. They'd show up at night, and it was like an entourage. They just kind of guided our way. They'd come up on starboard side where our helm is, and it just did my heart good. It was like they just guided our way, and it was like just for us. I loved that. So that was my favorite animal that we saw on our way down.
On these days when we had almost no wind, the sea was incredibly flat and calm. It was eerie, like it's impossible for the ocean to be that flat and calm. But in the middle of all that, we saw turtles, we saw several of them, we saw lots of animals, and it was cool to see them so clearly in that calm water.
That's
all for now.
Make sure to like,
Subscribe.
and follow us at Sail Chasing Stars.